Hello and welcome to the Chelsea Football Fancast, fueled by Guinness, powered by celery. The show that is attempting its second ever live match coverage tonight. God help us. I think I hear lots of people crying, actually. But anyway, I am Stamford Chidge, and the name of tonight's show is, remarkably enough, Stoke versus Chelsea live. Now, Chelsea got back to winning ways against Hull in what seems like months ago, but they need to keep it going against Stoke tonight, with Man City breathing down their necks in the race for the title. But in what could well be a tricky fixture against Stoke, we asked the question, can Costa, Fabregas, Hazard and all do it on a cold, wet, windy night in Stoke? All will be revealed. Now, joining me tonight, it's a bit like podcast light tonight, but actually the reality is we have the heavy hitters here. For a match coverage night, we have to go large, which means we have to, on my left, your right, we have the lovely Jonathan Kydd. Now, remember last time we did this, we were not actually very good because it went into the game, didn't we?
I got a bit upset and cheered a lot. We scored and I disappeared under the table.
We're going to be good tonight.
So, yeah.
You know why we're going to be good tonight? We've got a professional with us, mate.
Okay. Who's that by any chance?
We've got my lovely, lovely friend. We've got Mr. Paul Canoville in the house. I think Canners gets a round of applause, even if it's just us two.
The great Canners.
Yeah, the great Canners. Former Chelsea legend, in fact. Paul, how many games did you play for Chelsea, Paul?
They said it was 75, but I think they missed out one.
But they were all beauties.
They were great games.
They were great. So
what was the one they missed out?
That was against Shrewsbury. But that's me anyway.
You scored there, didn't you, in the Shrewsbury game?
Where did you
go?
There we go. Jonathan was probably there. Unlike me, because I'm a plastic.
I've come in to make it calmer, son. Yeah.
Now, Paul has come in to give us, obviously, his expertise. He's played the game. Jonathan and I haven't. So it's going to be very interesting to hear what Paul has to say about the game as it proceeds.
Now, played Chidge, we just haven't played at the same stand.
Yeah, I played, but does Ropley Tigers really count?
Yeah, does Castleknock Rovers really count?
Oh, well, you played in a posh boys team.
No, I did.
I played in a bunch of, farmyard type people. But anyway, on the show tonight, we will actually be having a look at the lineups in a minute because we've got those in, and of course we'll be getting Canner's thoughts on what may pan out tonight. But first, we have a bit of hygiene for you. You need to make sure you get onto Twitter and Mixlr. And the reason that you need to do that is so you can tell us what you think of the game, so we can bring your comments in, because otherwise we'll get stuck for something to say and it'll be very dull TV. Now, Jonathan, here's your version of the script, which I forgot to give to you. How do they find us on Twitter and Mixlr, Jonathan?
Oh, help. Where does it say that?
It says under Jonathan.
Oh, yeah, it's with my name there. Yeah, OK. You tweet us at Chelsea Fancast.
That's right.
Or post on the live chat page at Mixlr.
That's right.
Mixlr.com/Chelsea-Fancast.
There we go. It's all good stuff.
Remember, it's Chelsea-Fancast.
Chelsea-Fancast. Now, I'm going to do a bit of hygiene because I can see what's happening in the camera. There you go. But in a bit, and to write a bit. Right, lovely. Well done.
But that means I can't see the football.
Yes, you can, because we've got this big telly there.
That means I'm gazing at Canners. I don't mind that.
Screen,
I see. Okay,
very good. And you're on wheels, so I could actually just push you off screen, couldn't I? It's very tempting, I've got to say. But we've only been going 3 minutes already. I'm having a go at Jonathan. It's just like a normal Monday night. Now, as I said, last time we did a live match show, it was a little bit surreal for us, I have to say, as we did find it rather difficult to engage with you. We were rather caught up watching the match, because I think it was the Man City away match. It was a bit tense, and then some. Now, this time, I promise that we will try and let you know what is going on and have a serious, sensible chat about it, particularly with Canners, although I do, as I said before, make absolutely no promises whatsoever. But I did promise you a couple of minutes ago, I promised to reveal the lineup for those of you who may not know it. The lineup is as follows. We have Thibaut Courtois in goal. We have Ivanovic, Cahill, Terry and Cesar Azpilicueta the back four. Interestingly, we've got Mikel and Matic as our defensive midfielders tonight. And even more interestingly, we have Willian, Fabregas playing the number 10 role, Hazard in his usual customary position out wide, and we have the beast of Stamford Bridge. No, not me, Diego Costa up front, hopefully to bang back. The governor, yeah, the governor. I like Beast though, Steve. He's a beast to me. So there we go. So that's our team. I don't have the subs yet, but I'll look out for them in a minute. Canners, what do you think of that lineup? I mean, Mikel starts.
Yeah, don't get me wrong.
You happy with that?
About Mikel this, Mikel that, but he does a job, and obviously he must do a job for Josie, and that's the reason why he's chosen him. Yeah, looking at there, obviously we've come there to win as well as defend, and with William, and I see why this boy, he runs all day, William. Don't get me wrong, I think it's just his final ball.
He's phenomenal.
He is. He can do something. It's his final ball.
He's like a Duracell bunny, mate.
Trust me, he shuts down. He's down the line. He attacks well. So
let's go back to Mikel being picked. I mean, I think it's an interesting point. What you have just said is that he's going there to win, and I think he's being quite clever, Jonathan, because he's having. We know that it's going to be physical against Stoke. They like to kick lumps out of people, and I think Mikel has, often plays quite well.
With that very well.
He's a physical lad. He loves to have them bouncing off him.
He's a strong boy, whereas Oscar might get kicked up in the air a bit.
Well, he's got Fabregas playing in the number 10 role, and I think Fabregas in an advanced position can be far more creative, actually. I think it's interesting that he's left Oscar out of this one, but I think he's basically trying to have the best of both worlds here. He's trying to be solid defensively, but actually quite aggressive up front.
As long as Mikel doesn't shoot.
Shoot!
How far?
Hey, we were there when Mikel scored. I've been there twice when Mikel scored. Here's another thing, Paul. I mean, in the press this week, Jose was making a very, very big noise about defending Mikel. I think he's kind of sussed out that for a lot of people, he's a Marmite player. People either love him or hate him. And Jose was sitting there saying, this guy, he's not had many opportunities this year, but every time he's come in, he's done a great job for me. And in fact, actually, Jose was saying he thought that Mikel was our best player against Newcastle.
This is what my complaint is, because I keep hearing that, and everybody's on top of Mikel, but he does do a job in front of the front four.
Yeah.
He shuts down, he breaks down, and we still got Matix that can do the same job. But he does a job, and I'm sorry, I can't repeat it so many times. How apologies.
You might have to for the next 2.5 hours.
He
mate.
does a job, and that's the reason why he's there. And don't get me wrong, if he can cover for Mikel, cover for Matix, who can push up then behind Fabregas, and Fabregas slots in the balls, what we know he always does.
Yep.
For Hazard and William and Costa. What more do we want?
No, I mean, I mean, I love Mikel, and I've been saying for years and years and years, boring people stupid. There was a pause between those two. But anyway, I've been saying for years and years and years that Mikel...
me stupid?
No.
Boring people
I have
stupid?
been boring people for years and years.
Oh,
that was my...
Okay.
But, I'm a huge fan of Mikel because I think that he is a super player for certain roles. I will never forget the performance that he put in the Champions League final.
Mate.
I think
Man of the match.
Man of the match, and I think people who don't like Mikel show a basic misunderstanding of football, because you can't have 11 Hazards. You do need some players who are going to just do what they're there to do, just defend the back four in front of the back four.
It's Ray Wilkins syndrome to an extent as well, because he was always very good at finding space and playing the ball square. People then just, because you're not seen to be going forward, which I always think in some people's mentality, there's still this thing of when the ball is booted down the pitch. I remember even going to a game about 5 years ago away, and the ball being booted down the pitch for no apparent reason to no one, and a bloke in front of me going, "That's more like it." As if somehow
it's a corner. It's a corner.
That was the thing I had to change as well.
There's something happening. Go look the ball. Let's get it forward. As opposed to actually thinking, but it's actually a better ball to play.
The game has changed.
If we were like that, we'd be like Arsenal, and who would like that? Not me.
No, not me either.
Not me either. No. So I'm a huge fan of Mikel. I mean, the only criticism I think you can level at Mikel is, I think when we've seen Matic playing for us in the last year, you see really how that role can be played. And Matic not only is a unit and he gets stuck into people and he wins the ball, but he distributes it really quickly and always forward. I think if there is a weakness in Mikel's game, he doesn't release the ball as quickly as possibly he could.
He can, don't get me wrong. I find he's very controlled on the ball. He's comfortable on the ball as well. And I know what you're saying when you're saying getting that ball and pushing the ball forward as such. He plays a simple ball. And sometimes, like you said, we need that player can do that. Control, gets the ball, plays it simple, and let those individuals good was.
I think the
And that's
problem
what
he's
he
got
does.
this year is that he's got Matic as a kind of reference.
He can now do
and Matic is such a wonderful player, and Matic actually gets back into positions and nicks the ball more than Mikel.
Probably take that position away from him as well a little at the time, but the two of them are gelling so well. I saw him against Hull as well, and I thought he did well. For me,
I did too, actually.
You know what I mean? He did well. Don't get me wrong, it was going to be difficult against Hull anyway.
He did a naughty little foul, which led to our first goal, if you remember.
He does the job. That's what I see. Some people individually look at him. He does a job.
All right, let's just move it on a bit. I mean, I don't know who the bunch is. I'll try and have a sneaky look in a minute. In fact, maybe Steve can have a look at who's on the bench in the gallery, and he can let me know in a sec. But
Chidge, we're going to be talking about Derby.
No.
Okay.
Done and dusted.
Okay.
So, Paul, who are going to be the key players for us tonight then?
Key Costa, obviously. I thought he was a bit quiet against Hull, but I can see him being busy today. We really do need him. Hazard, as always. Fabregas, don't get me wrong, I've got this thing about Fabregas. I don't think he's fully fit, but that's my only opinion.
You don't think he's fit?
I don't think he's fully
What's wrong with
fit.
him?
I think he's sluggish. That's what I see, in my opinion. But don't get me wrong, he still sets in and slots in the balls that were needed. But he'll get better. He gets better every time.
How about this? I've got some stats here, Paul. I never do stats, but I thought, as we've got a proper person who knows about football on the show tonight, I thought, in honour of you, I will nick Opta's stats. So I have glibly nicked Opta's stats, and I've got a wonderful one about Hazard here. Hazard has not scored a Premier League goal away from home since January the 11th, 2014, and his last 11 goals in the competition have all come at Stamford Bridge. So he hasn't scored away for nearly a year in the Premier League. How about those apples?
Wow. Well, then, you know what? Fabregas is going to help him today.
That's what I like about Paul. He's the eternal optimist. That's what I like.
To help him today. Don't get me wrong. Hazard's on form. He's buzzing. As a player, we so cool. And the boy's going to get in the
plays
box.
in your old position.
I love the way he plays, and he can gel it, mix it up. It goes on the right, comes back to the left, and in the box, they know now, and I think most of the way teams know that he's dangerous. You know what I mean? Giving him time, any time, and he can do the same thing as Fabregas does by slotting in those balls, and they know it by now. But he finishes well.
Okie dokie. Now, what have we got to worry? So for you, it's all about Hazard and Costa tonight.
Yes. Definitely the main block.
I actually think that John Terry and Cahill are going to have a little bit to say about tonight, because I think the way that Stoke, I think the word that I want to use is eviscerated Arsenal. I mean, they were 3-0 up at half time the other week. They absolutely slaughtered Arsenal. It's a really hard place to go, and if they get their tails up, and the other thing is, I don't know, I haven't seen Stoke's lineup, but I presume Crouch is playing.
I was going to say Crouch is very significant in that.
He is, and also I think that the other lad, I love saying this on a football show, the lad Bojan,
he's come good, isn't he?
What do you think of him? He's a good little player, yeah?
I've not seen too much of him.
He basically ran riot around Arsenal, didn't he, Bojan?
He did. I like the lad Walters myself.
I like the lad Walters.
I think he puts a lot of effort in.
I used to like the band, Frank and Walters.
Did you like them?
I did.
Oh, I thought
John Peel liked them too.
Did he as well?
Anything that John Peel liked, I liked.
That's the sounds of the 70s.
No. This is more 80s, darling.
Okay.
But no, the lad Bojan used to play for Barcelona. Here's another interesting fact about Bojan. When he played for Barcelona, he played in the team that knocked us out on away goals. All right, in the Champions League. And he also played against...
Is that when Figo scored?
No, this is much
later.
A bit
later, yeah. Because I was about to say
this is way later. But he also played in the semi-final of the Champions League for Barcelona against Jose's Inter Milan team. And he scored a goal, I think, in the last minute. That it was ruled out for offside. Had it counted, it would have knocked Inter Milan out and Jose wouldn't have won the Champions League. He's a good player. God only knows why he ended up at Stoke, but...
I think he was having a fallow period, wasn't he? He wasn't playing
Wasn't getting in, was he? No.
So, no, it's also that thing of getting into the team.
At Stoke, is it?
First season at Stoke.
Okay.
But he'd gone through a different route, hadn't he? But they all have this problem, is that if you've got a world-class side, it's the same with Chelsea. Some players can't get in, and they're bound to get itchy feet after a bit if they're not playing. It's human nature, despite Jose's team ethic. He was talking today about the group and how everybody had been playing, like Luis has been playing, and yet tonight it's Azpilicueta. You just have to give in to that. That's the way that Jose works.
He's gelling them. They do adjust, don't get me wrong.
He's an absolute master of that. I thought, can you get into your iPhone? I can have a look into it. He was... brilliant in his interviews this week, and he was going on about that, saying, I mean, he was actually saying that I've got a lot of players who are really unhappy. I've got a lot of players who are very frustrated and upset because they're not playing, but they understand that they need to be part of the group. Team. It's all about the team.
They know everybody's not going to get a game. Everybody's not going to play. Don't get me wrong, but they will play. There's important games when they need to, and they will know what Jose means. It's simple.
Here's a question for you, mate. I mean, how tough is it when you're not getting a game, when you're on the sidelines a bit? I mean, number one, how tough is it generally when you don't feel you're getting a chance? And secondly, how tough is it to come in at a moment's notice and then try and make your mark?
Then that comes down for you as an individual, because now you can get upset because you're not playing and you want to know the reason why. But then you've got to be ready, because if you are called in, your head's on the game. Yeah. And that's the one. If it isn't on the game and they're expecting to do your job and then you don't, then you've got reason, obviously, to leave you out, and that's what you don't want to do.
But is it possible that you can play those games and just not be up to speed, even though you've been training well?
I think you've got to be. Now, the way the game is changed,
completely, you have to be.
Got to
be. For example, Van Ginkel is an example, who last year came and played in the Shrewsbury game and was absolutely dreadful. Dreadful.
How long was he out?
Yeah, but it was Swindon, and he got injured in about half an hour, and we've not seen him since.
Not Shrewsbury, Swindon, sorry, yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, forgive me, I don't mean him, I mean Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne came in and was absolutely terrible. And you think, what was he doing? Because he'd been a class act in the Bundesliga.
This is what it is as a player. You've got to be ready for 24/7. When you're called into the game, into a team, you know that you're there to do the job. And you're ready to do a job. It's like,
is it possible
that probably helps that.
But don't some players get a bit nervous if they come and overdo it because they think
they
I haven't played? So.
But if a player of class, or you know what I mean, say, look, I know I'm supposed to be here. All right, he's the manager. I've got to set the team are doing well. Don't get me wrong, when I'm not playing, but when I do play, that the team is still continue to do well, and that's what you got to think about.
You have to slot in, and then
you've got to slot in. If you slot in and play well, it's harder for him to take you out, isn't it?
It's difficult, absolutely. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
So there we go.
I had difficulty when I played for Castle No Rovers.
Did you?
I had a period when I was off injured, and I came back in. I was sub. Came on for the last 10 minutes. Two left feet. Didn't know what to do.
That's a really horrible shot. I just seen a really horrible shot of you. It was such a big close-up. It wasn't true.
Oh, it's sideways.
It was like we were seeing this side of you here.
Is it a bit? It's a bit beardy, isn't it?
There's me. See, I look quite kind of weird like that.
You know, you look quite.
Oh no! They don't like us doing that. They changed the shot immediately. We start doing.
Did they start doing that?
I've noticed that. I'm going to gang up on them tonight.
I've got side parting tonight. Have you noticed?
You have a bit. I've got a bit. Look, mine's gone a bit. There we go. Look, see, I don't like that. It makes it look like I'm going a bit bald here.
I've given in to that fact.
That's not. I'm going to start getting some boot polish maybe. And Cannons is laughing. We've got about a minute left before we have to go for a very
something called mane. You don't need boot polish. Mane, not mange.
Mange. I've got mange.
You sprinkle it on, and it looks as if you've got a full head of hair.
Bit of stuff that they. What's his name? The guy, the artist that goes around. I can't remember his name.
Oh, yeah, I know the chap. Yeah.
Banksy.
Who does this?
Get a bit of Banksy. Anyway, enough of that. We're being silly already, and Paul will leave. We've got to go for a very, very short break, but we will be back in a very short while to carry on having a little bit of build-up before the kick-off. See you in a sec.
You've got a couple of players I like.